I'm currently in the 3rd month of 2024, and that means it's time for Final Fantasy 3. I'm playing through each Final Fantasy every month, and you know what? I really enjoyed my return to number 3. The time flew by. So looking back, I really liked Final Fantasy 1's basic job system, where you can decide your character's class like black mages or warriors, while Final Fantasy 2 focused more on the storytelling and character writing. I feel like Final Fantasy 3 took the best parts of what came before and progresses the series forward. This adventure begins with 4 Onion Knights falling into a cave and coming across one of the 4 crystals of light. We're warned about a coming darkness and fading light. The crystal shares its power, allowing us to become a selection of jobs. Unlike the original Final Fantasy 1, we're free to change our party's jobs whenever we want, and as we progress the game, we'll unlock entirely new jobs. The jobs start to get really awesome with their own unique abilities and benefits. My 4 favourite jobs are: first, Dark Knights, the heavy metal badasses of Final Fantasy. They abandon defense for all-out offense. Summoners are completely new and can call in mythical beings for devastating attacks. Dragoons are heavy spear wielders that can spend a turn jumping high into the sky to avoid lethal attacks, and then come crashing down on enemies. And Magus, which is an upgraded version of the Black Mage with very powerful offensive magic. I will say we're back to using spell slots instead of MP, but you can cast way more magic before running out. Black magic is so much more satisfying this time around without having to conserve magic so much like I did in the previous games. This was my final team, but it's really fun experimenting and trying out all the different jobs as you unlock them progressing the game. There's a few differences with jobs and systems across different versions of Final Fantasy 3, but I will be talking about the Pixel Remaster. You might come across a locked door that only thieves can unlock, or there were a few story moments where you had to use magic to shrink yourself down to progress. So if you're not playing a job that can use that mini magic, you need to swap to a job that could in order to progress. There was a very tough boss battle in the middle of the game. Characters in-game will hint that this boss's weakness is a Dragoon, and there was loads of Dragoon equipment nearby. I really struggled with this boss, so I resorted to swapping to a team of 4 Dragoons to get the job done. While you might really want to make your dream team of jobs, the game is designed so that in some moments, you're forced to play other jobs. I like this challenge element, but it can be a little bit double-edged when you just want to play your favourite jobs. Quickie, really want to level up my subscriber count because that's going to unlock early review copies of games. Here on Peter Bytes, I cover lots of RPGs, lots of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth lately, but I'm so behind all the big organisations because I don't get any early review copies. So if you consider subscribing, it would be a huge help. Thank you. Okay, job system is overall awesome, but that's not the only reason I really enjoyed my time with Final Fantasy 3, and that's the change in the game's design. This is filled with secret areas to uncover with hidden treasure chests, and I think the loot you can find here is far more interesting and meaningful than the previous 2 Final Fantasy games, where a large portion of the treasure chests were just a bit of gil or a potion. We're talking about weapons or equipment with fancy effects for different jobs. It's so good you might find an awesome weapon and be enticed into swapping to a job to make use of that weapon. Early on in the game, some guards mention that the White Slayer is a special sword for red mages, and it's hidden in the castle's tower. You can go get that sword and you'll have to defeat a griffin guarding the sword. It's a really good early game sword that deals extra damage to the undead. Final Fantasy 3's world is designed with a fair bit of this kind of optional content, and you have the agency to discover it for yourself. So one of my party members is a summoner, and there's big bosses you'll find in the world. Odin, Leviathan, and Bahamut. If you take the time to defeat these, you can unlock these bosses as summons. These summons not only look awesome, but they feel special because you've earned them. You've had your own little adventure and story to summon these badasses in. With all this kind of stuff I've been talking about, you can start to see how the fundamentals of a good RPG are taking form within Final Fantasy 3. So our four heroes end up traversing the world. We accidentally end up in the nest of the Dragon King Bahamut, shrink ourselves down to enter a village of gnomes, and crash land in the middle of a war. It's a bit more of a light-hearted adventure. I will say when it came to Final Fantasy II, the story had you going back and forth over and over again, back and forth. There's a hell of a lot less of that in number 3, you're just progressing the world, always moving forward, which I think contributed to my enjoyment of this game. We meet lots of characters along the way, and eventually learn of a big bad guy called Xande, who's trying to summon the darkness into our world. Xande's hanging out at the Crystal Tower, probably the most iconic location in Final Fantasy so far. I love the Crystal Tower, it's so vibrant and colourful, full of awesome stuff, and when I talk about Final Fantasy 3, I always talk about the Crystal Tower. So to even gain entrance to the Crystal Tower, you'll need a fang or a sliver of each of the 4 giant crystals across the world. It's the typical Final Fantasy crystals of air, fire, water, and earth. And hey, every crystal you encounter will also unlock new jobs for you to play and experiment with. Starting at the base of the tower, the Labyrinth of the Ancients, you'll scroll the tower upwards. For an endgame location, it's pretty awesome. Best one so far with lots of treasures to find and tough monsters to overcome. You can also enter a gateway to Eureka, which is an optional side dungeon. Eureka is filled with bosses that reward some of the best equipment in the game, and even offers the chance to earn the bonus jobs Sage and Ninja. When you reach the top and defeat Xande, you'll find that you're too late. Probably spent too much time doing all that optional stuff in Eureka, but who can blame me, it is so good. Xande has already summoned the darkness into our world. In the final hour, our true antagonist enters the story, the Cloud of Darkness. Pretty late into the story, but she is pretty awesome and obliterates the party. Well, except for my Dragoons thanks to his jump ability. That's why Dragoons are... they're all dead now. We're granted a second chance by all the major story characters we've met and saved throughout the story, and we enter the world of darkness. Here, we'll need to defeat 4 bosses guarding the world's dark crystals. While we're the heroes of light, this world's heroes of darkness help us by weakening the Cloud of Darkness. We defeat her and save the world. So, Final Fantasy 3. This marks the end of the NES era of Final Fantasy. Really enjoyed this one. I was always experimenting with the job system and changing things up whenever I unlocked new jobs. Side content is starting to level up a bit with loads of secret areas, meaningful equipment to find, or optional challenges for more summons, ultimate weapons, or even new jobs. A bit more of a light-hearted story with an antagonist that enters the story in the final hour, but still pretty good with key characters throughout the story. So with this being my 3rd Final Fantasy, I'm going to start ranking them as I go. So, like I previously said, Final Fantasy II focuses on the storytelling, but gameplay falls a little short, lots of back and forth, and not a huge fan of the keyword system or weapon skill system that replaced regular levels up. I'm going to personally rank number 2 at the bottom. I think number 1 deserves a little credit for being the origins of Final Fantasy. Solid game, love the basic origins of the job system, and you know what? I think Final Fantasy 3 deserves its seat at the top for now, and that's for all the reasons I've been through in this video. Looking forward to Final Fantasy 4 next month, but for now, peace.